According to the latest figures from the British Retail Consortium, this Christmas trading period was the worst since 2008. Sales fell across food and clothing at Marks & Spencer. Debenhams has reported a 5.7% fall in like-for-like sales. However, Tesco reports a 2.6% rise in sales, and there's also been a 1.4% rise in sales over Christmas at the department store John Lewis. Let's speak, as is our wont on these matters, to retail expert Kate Hardcastle. Kate, Happy New Year, good morning.
And to you, and a very good morning to you.
We often talk to you on days of utter high street disaster and retail misery and wretchedness. It's more of it's a slightly mixed picture this morning, although it's certainly not looking particularly cheerful, is it?
It truly is a mixed bag of results, and that's exactly what we've got in the retail sector at the moment. Whilst we hear the doom and gloom, there is certainly better news, I wouldn't say good, from retailers that have really got a cohesive plan of how to trade with consumers in today's marketplace.
So you're talking about Tesco there?
Particularly Tesco and John Lewis.
Right.
John Lewis are a department store, so that model can still work. They have got a slight growth, but they have been challenged with the same Black Friday discounting, the same weather that Marks and Spencer's, the mild weather that they complained about in their results, the same challenges. It's the same consumer, and they're still managing to get a very small amount of growth. What we need to remember in all of these figures is these are sales numbers, not profits. Mm-hmm. And we know that most of retail was in heavy discounting from November through to December. So It will not have helped anyone's profits. But it's about how do you build a business with online and offline together, working harmoniously at price points and with products that appeal to customers.
So what is John Lewis doing right, do we think, at the moment?
I think they're very clear on how challenging it is. I think they're very understanding that their consumers are after very good quality service, the right products, the right mix. Mm-hmm. They've said they've seen growth in their own brand women's wear label, which is very interesting. So are they actually appealing to consumers with a product line that's good quality but perhaps slightly a lower price than some of the major brands? And I think definitely the online working together, what consumers want, and we saw this in the Next Results, Vanessa, just a week ago, is where you have an online service, you can order it, and within a few hours you can go collect it from a local store. They want it to be that seamless, that quick, that efficient.
One of the factors that we've noted this week is the vast number, in fact, this was front page of the Times, it was such a big story, the vast number of returns winging their way back to retail outlets since Christmas. I mean, was it £14 billion worth of retail sales were just binned because people sent the stuff back? I mean, that was an appallingly shocking story for retailers, wasn't it?
It is, because I think people sometimes talk of the pure downfall of offline traditional retail trading has been because of online. That's just not the case. There's been so many factors, including particularly the experience economy, people spending more money on going out and doing things and buying stuff. But really underneath that, we've also got to look into actually how online operates and its challenges. And with 40 and 50% returns in fashions online, it is very difficult to understand how that business can be very profitable and manage high returns which can't always be put back out for sale, and they're trying to manage those businesses. So we've got retailers trying to adjust to a different status quo with an online trade and an offline trade. And what we're seeing here is 10 years of these developments, and businesses, unfortunately, like Marks & Spencer's, still just not connecting the dots.
All right, before we get to Marks & Spencer's, and that's the one we've grappled with now for, 15 years on this programme? We're always talking about where is M&S going wrong and what are they doing wrong. We'll get to that in a second, but let's at least have a moment of quiet congratulation for Tesco, which reports a 2.6% rise in sales. Now, is that because over the Christmas season we may not have been buying more stuff, we may have been cutting back on presents, but what we didn't want to cut back on was food, and Tesco's providing good value in that area? Is that what's going on there?
Pretty much, yes. I think although the discounters, or we call them the discounters, but I think they're the value providers. Mm-hmm. Brands like Aldi and Lidl have come and really shaken that market up. Tesco's have demonstrated that you can turn a business around that's sizable quickly. They had their hands in all kinds of different businesses, all different pies, restaurants, hairdressers, you name it. They reduced it down. They concentrated back on value and grocery, and they've delivered consistently for a few years. They've taken away a lot of the metro stores, so the smaller pop-ups. They've concentrated on getting the supermarket offer right, and they've gone to their customers, listened and tried to react to that. Not everything's perfect for sure, but we've got a brand and a business here that's starting to trade well, understanding what customers want at Christmas is good value for money and great products, feeling that they're providing for the family. A good feeling comes from that, and we also saw that in Aldi's trading figures as well. That did particularly well in the period.
All right, let's leave Marks and Spencer's to last. Let's go to Debenhams next. Now, I was there yesterday. The Oxford Street flagship store. I've always been a huge fan, but I must say the atmosphere in the store. I'm just saying it as I saw it yesterday. I mean, there are racks and racks and racks of sale goods with a 70% Blue Cross reduction. And there's so many of them that in my experience, what I found yesterday, it desperately off-putting. You just look at the sheer proliferation of markdown stuff. It looks a bit like a jumble sale and you feel like walking away. You feel that, well, it must be good value for money, but there's something about it that's so unenticing. You just think, oh God, I can't face it. And I saw very few other people in the store. I was there about 10:30 in the morning, and everybody seemed to me, I may have been projecting, I'm trying to be impartial here, I've got no axe to grind against Debenhams, I've always been a big fan, but people looked just as if they couldn't, disconsolately strolling past these markdown rack after rack after rack, looking as if they couldn't bear to buy a thing.
It's an unfortunate position for Debenhams. It's a long turnaround story, and it isn't showing very many fruits of the labour of the work they've put in. They have 9 concept stores that they say are performing very well for them, but certainly this is an organisation that has said today that it's going to be looking at other opportunities for funding, new sources of funding, to see how it regenerates and continues to invest in that business.
What does that mean, new opportunities for funding? What does that mean?
It means it needs cash to turn that business round, and it's going to have to find that cash from new places. And that's very clear for a business that's very traditional department store. It's got high rent and rates to pay, and it just hasn't made the evolvement into this online, offline offer as easily as some of the others, or as quickly. It takes a lot of cash to do it. What we've got to remember is we as consumers want more for our money than ever before, but we want to pay less for it. And that's hard when you're a business trying to invest.
And Marks and Spencer?
M&S, I think, have taken a wee bit too long in this turnaround plan right now. I do obviously want this bellwether, this brilliant British brand to survive and do well. But even in its food, it has slowed sales. And that's a concern. They're saying it's part of the transition, it's part of the turnaround plan. I think that this is showing signs of slowing down completely, and I think it's going to be a much leaner business going forward. It's going to have to be. I
mean, it's interesting. I think lots of people listening carefully to what you've said, Kate, will have noticed an upturn in John Lewis's own fashion and a downturn in sales for Marks and Spencer clothing. Is that because John Lewis is managing to tap into that extremely difficult market, which is, clothes for a lady, maybe of a certain age, but that don't look dated and don't look old-fashioned and are good value for money? Is that what they're beginning to manage to do that Marks and Spencer isn't managing to do?
Well, I think what they're saying is that they've managed to do it. I think everyone's got a piece of the Marks and Spencer's pie. Lots of different brands we've discussed before, but I think here is a brand in John Lewis that's actually managed to solve the puzzle, and M&S need to get on with it.